All right. I'm going to talk to you about the worst possible subject I could raise.
Oh, fakey Ismo, no. Is he going to talk about his love life? Look, man, I know that you're desperate to explain the gory and intimate details of your likely disgusting sexual encounters, but I just don't want to know. Not because I would in any way be bothered by it, but because it would make you way too relatable. I mean, not to me. I'm handsome, famous, and good at the sex for a reason, but for those people who would hear about you tripping over your own balls, getting your head stuck between your cheeks, and, having your bell end trapped in a door frame. Not that any of that is bad. I mean, we've all done it, right? Except for me, as I cannot make any more clear.
For about 41% of you. Maybe more.
Oh, right, it can't be the sex thing, because otherwise that would be about, roughly 2,453% of you. And the math checks out, because people would get so grossed out that it would wrap all the way round to disgusting over and over and over again. So if it's not that, I can only assume it's your always incredibly stupid arguments about the Godmans. I mean, there's nothing I have ever heard you say that wasn't at least a little bit stupid, but that shit is always knock it out of the universe dumb.
And what triggered this is one of our particularly capable people at PragerU.
Well, now I know this is all going to be total nonsense. A capable person at Prager University. I didn't realize we were going the Dungeons and Dragons level of fantastical content. I mean, you could have gone with the far more justifiable one of the most capable people at PragerU, but to suggest there's competent, in real-world terms, people that work for you, Dennis? Give me a break.
Posted my 10 Commandments videos on her Instagram account, right? Your Instagram account. PragerU Instagram account.
You proper old man that. I couldn't possibly have an Instagram account as a multi-million-dollar company owner, so it must have been hers. Look, I know it's really petty, but it's the kind of consistent, unforced error that he is prone to. And more importantly, I found it funny. Anyway, one of you posted the 10 Commandments thing. Do you mean these? I swear, I have been thinking about covering them all as some kind of mega project someday. It could be fun. Let me know what you think.
And it got hits. Everything we post gets a fair amount of hits, but it didn't get a great amount of hits, and she was surprised. I wasn't.
I mean, yeah, neither was I, although I'm fairly sure it's for very different reasons. I think the main one would be, it's a goddamn repost. These videos are what, 10 years old? I think the vast majority of people who actually like your content, yeah, I know, they exist, go figure, will have either seen it already or been presented with it in one form or another on YouTube or your website or whatever, and decided, nah, I don't need to watch that. While I imagine your reasoning, on the other hand, is probably something like, wow, nobody likes me because of how smart I am. And hey, don't be so unfair to yourself. They couldn't possibly dislike you because of that. They have plenty of good reasons for not liking you.
Why would that be? Why the single most important moral code, legal code in the history of the world?
First off, what? No, it's not. Are you kidding? Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie, don't envy, don't adultery, and be nice to your parents, even if they're garbage humans. And yes, I know the word garbage is technically redundant, with the rest literally being don't make God mad. Like, as moral or legal codes go, it is not only not that amazing in what it's telling you not to do, but half of it is also self-centered bullshit and is absolutely full of gigantic holes that completely ignore hundreds, if not thousands of years of moral/legal progress, making it, if not completely useless, pretty bloody sparse. And second, again, the people who like you, I'm pretty sure they have heard of the 10 frigging commandments. They are, in fact, a little bit famous. Although not for good reasons, but it is what it is.
Nothing comes close to influencing the world as the 10 Commandments does.
Care to justify that with, like, anything other than you feeling that it does? I mean, I can think of a few things that far outstrip its influence and impact. I mean, if we aren't strictly sticking to morals and law, the scientific method has done and influenced far more than that ever could. And I can think of things that are far more effective at doing what you think the Ten Commandments does. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights springs to mind, and that actually covers things like slavery and even things like freedom of expression. And you know how much God hates that, which is strange because theists like Dennis here love freedom of expression, so long as it only applies to them. I wonder why.
Why would that elicit a big yawn from most people?
Because maybe, just maybe, it's not as exciting and as amazing as you think it is. Maybe the world has moved on from multiple millennia-old commands that don't actually come from Magic Sky Man and are more interested in things that are actually worth a goddamn. Literally, maybe.
I know the answer, which is why I'm raising the question. I know the answer.
No, I think what you'll find, Dennis, is that you have an answer, not that you have the answer. I mean, even if we ignore the fact that questions such as these usually do tend to have many answers, depending on exactly what you're trying to discuss, I know for a fact that whatever answer you are going to spew forth is going to be probably the worst one possible. You're just that good.
By the way, sometimes I do raise questions to which I do not know the answer.
Really? That's the most shocking shock that ever shocked the shockers of the Shockington Smides. And shit, at least he said something that's actually true. You know, if we just forget about the whole sometimes part of it.
Like, why does one spouse give in to the other on car color?
You gotta love the faux humility followed up with the most irrelevant question that he can't answer. And worse still, it's not that hard to answer. It's just that there are, again, numerous reasons that could be the case. I imagine the strongest would be you just don't care enough to make a big deal out of it. If one of you cares and the other doesn't, then having an argument would be a complete waste of time. Also, you might have similar taste anyway. Or maybe you just want to make your partner happy by giving them a win that ultimately has no effect on the car's ability to car. And on that, you didn't even mention the kind of car, which is a far more meaningful decision, and so on and so on. See, I wasn't even trying, and I accidentally gave you multiple answers. If you couldn't answer that question, frankly, it makes me think that the things you can answer are more suspect rather than less so.
Like me. Why do I give in? I'm strong.
Come on, man. It's not weak to give your partner something they like. It's called being a frigging grown-up. You should try it sometime.
Well, I'm going to raise that actually on the male-female hour on my radio show. For your edification, it's the second hour of my show every Wednesday called the male-female hour.
I really don't even know what to say about the fact that he has a male-female hour every week or whatever he said. I don't know how often he actually does his podcast, but I can't imagine he would have an hour's worth of meaningful ideas to contribute to a conversation about men and women. Full stop. Let alone multiple times and ever. Damn.
So why this incredible antagonism to anything religious?
Antagonism? You think that being ignored is antagonistic? That is the most narcissistic thing I think I've ever heard. Don't you see how much they hate me? They aren't listening to every word I say and telling me how brilliant I am. And again, it's not even about religious. It's just you're using some old content and not even making it new. You could at least brand it as Top 10 Wackiest Commandments. You won't believe number 7. I would make such a good theist.
It's instinctive in people. They see the 10 Commandments. Had she put up, Dennis Prager talks about the Quran, I might have gotten the same amount of hits.
Instinctive to ignore you? Oh, if only. And you talking about the Quran? Well, first off, We talking some actually original content? Because that might be worth a try, buddy. And second, you're always saying you have a Judeo-Christian audience who likely aren't fans of Islam in a big way. I can't imagine they wouldn't be into you saying something likely very stupid. But at least for them, it would be negative, I'm betting. And again, it depends how it's packaged. Here's my thoughts on this book, though, versus holy shit, Quran destroyed by Dennis Prager's massive brain and penis. That might get a few extra looks, even if just out of morbid curiosity.
Because people aren't threatened by the Quran. It's just another religion's holy work. But the Ten Commandments, that's Judeo-Christian.
He said it. And I cannot for the life of me figure out what your actual point is supposed to be. For starters, plenty of people are threatened by that book. Again, many of them in your audience, I would bet. And you said it was about religion, but what you meant was it was all about your religion, or at least the weird non-religion you are referencing when you say the thing. Frankly, all of this is just so meaningless.
And that is something they have literally been brainwashed to find absurd.
Oh, will you get over yourselves? I'm sorry, judo-kudo theists. It doesn't take brainwashing, literally or otherwise, to see that your school ground philosophy is weak shit. Especially basic nonsense like the commandments. All it takes is actually thinking about what it is, how it says what it's trying to say, and why, for it to become extremely obvious that it's just an ultra-simplified set of morals for the stupids. But it's so simplified that, again, it misses a bunch of extremely important shit that people need to actually live in a safe and functional society, which is why no legal system of any repute whatsoever relies on the goddamn Bible.
Not just not relevant, absurd. You believe in that stuff?
He just can't believe it, can he? That people would find an absurd, undercooked idea to be of such little value and utility that it's actually hilarious. Yes, Dennis, the things you believe are very silly. But the thing is, there is still an overwhelming majority of people who think it's all, or at least mostly, hunky-dory. The idea that the internet, or life in general, is nothing but non-judo-crudies is somehow the far more absurd concept. Perhaps ultimately you just aren't as relevant as you think you should be.
Do you know the videos at PragerU? I monitor this. I don't know if others do. I'm sure others do, but I know I do. I monitor what types of videos receive the most mockery.
Yeah, I would say that's something that I might have a pretty decent gauge on, my dude. No idea why.
Not the most hate, not the most objections, the most mockery. And nothing comes close to anything we put up with regard to God or religion.
Let me guess. That must mean you're double extra super secret correct and your God specifically must be the real guy, and not say that you are so incredibly bad at arguing for your particular religion that you end up saying shit so dumb when it comes to religious claims that I have seen people in my own comment section say when I cover you guys, I like PragerU's comments on XYZ topic, but their religious content is just really bad. To which I will always question, if they can be so wrong about one topic, I do suggest questioning every single thought you've ever agreed with them on, because I'm pretty sure some of them might not be as correct as you might like them to be. Just saying. If they said the sky was blue, I'd have to double check.
People are taught to mock religion, and the teaching has worked.
Taught by who exactly? I certainly wasn't taught that. In fact, the vast majority of mainstream dialogue on the subject of religion is that we are all supposed to respect each other's beliefs, no matter how stupid they are. And no, I added the no matter how stupid. No, in fact, mockery of religion is still very much a fringe position, and one that people tend to have to come to through their own resources, not because school or TV or society at large told them to. but because it's such an obvious conclusion to that person that it simply needs to be done. Oh, and quick note, just because things exist in all three of those mediums that do say religion silly, still doesn't mean all of it does, not even close, but still, many people do so in a really nice way anyway, even if they do, because that's just the way that they do it, and that's fine. I think that there's plenty of ways to skin a humans. People aren't all going to be convinced by the same strategies and rhetoric, and I think that there's room for them all, apart from the can't we all get along types. They are actually the worst. You aren't better than everyone else because you're a bloody fence sitter. Get a grip. And I'm not saying that you have to chime in. I'm just saying that if you do, don't pretend you're freaking levitating.
That is one's immediate instinct. You know, I remember years ago, it's funny that this is coming back. I don't think I've raised this in 20 years.
All right, Grandpa, I'm sure your tale about when dinosaurs roamed the earth is fascinating, but please do try to actually get on with it, okay?
About 20 years ago, I remember asking on my radio show, what would you rather be caught by colleagues? Let's say you're on the plane and colleagues, people at your workplace, by coincidence, are passing you as you're sitting, you know, at let's say an aisle seat near the front.
Well, before he gets to his likely lame options, let's come up with some of our own. Would you rather be caught pushing your entire fist into your own mouth, using a cat's asshole as a washcloth, or watching PragerU as a marital aid? Or bonus round, watching PragerU unironically.
Would you rather be caught reading Playboy or the Holy Bible?
Wait. Are you expecting me to read? What am I supposed to be, some kind of nerd? No way I'm going to be caught doing something so humiliating as consuming information in the form of text. Listen, you can come back when I can consume either of them as some kind of gas. Smidgen, it's the future. I've smelled it.
Which would embarrass you more? That's really what I was asking.
Yes, I could tell from the everything that you just said. I don't understand how that could possibly need clarifying to anyone but the dumbest of... Oh, right, PragerU. Oh, well, and yeah, superficially, but of course what you are truly doing is trying to set up a false dichotomy by presenting a kind of embarrassing but still typically browsed piece of media and a Bible, a book that is generally considered to be viewed in private meditation, to make it appear as though reading a Bible is worse than reading Playboy, when it's really just a trap, and an unsophisticated one at that. But again, PragerU.
The very fact that the question is legit gives you an idea of to what extent people find the Bible worthy only of mockery and embarrassment.
But it's not a legit question. You just think it is because you came up with it. And the thing is, who were you asking this question to? I'll bet the evangelical, much of which I'm sure your audience consists of, would not only not be embarrassed to read the Bible, but mortified to be caught reading almost anything else. The amount of times I've heard, I only need one book, for it to turn out that the person can barely read it in the first place is disappointing to say the least.
Do you know, I'm just finished the third of my 5-volume commentary on the first 5 volumes of the Bible. It's called The Rational Bible.
Oh, did they change the meaning of rational to mean commented on by a moron who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about? That's cool. I would read or listen or smelloscope that, but I have a funny feeling that I'd rather actually be skinned alive by angry raccoons.
And so I do a lot of writing on airplanes. So I will literally have books, let's say Exodus or Genesis, Deuteronomy, whatever, or just the Holy Bible with commentary. And I know that anyone who sees it who is not religious thinks they're sitting next to a weirdo.
I really don't think it would matter, Dennis, because the second any reasonable person, religious or not, realised that they were sitting next to you, they would all know that without a shadow of a doubt, they were sitting next to an absolute dumbass.